All right, so a couple people commented about going over some of the European diagrams, so I figured I would start with some of these Volkswagen Audi diagrams. They're both going to be the same, and they're PDF pages. Pretty much you'll download from service information, and that's how all their service is. It's PDFs for Volkswagen and Audi. It's these PDFs that you're going to download, and they're quite big. If you look here, they're like 2,651 pages on this, and it's going to be different sections. So like right here at the top, we'll have, it's a 3-liter gasoline, and you'll be right into this. So we got number 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 1 of 4, 1 of 5. So these numbers will be like, this is the first section right here, and this will be the second page, and this will go all the way until it ends, which this is quite a few pages here. But once we get to the next section, you'll see now this is the next section. We have automatic transmission. It's going to give you some information here, and this will be the circuit. So you'll want to make sure, because sometimes in these they'll have different transmissions, different engine variants, so you'll want to make sure that you have the correct diagram for whatever you're working on. But let's just go back to the beginning here. So the biggest thing on this is these are track style diagrams. So if you're not familiar with it, it is slightly confusing at first. There's numbers on the bottom. You can see we have 1 through 14 here. Then the next diagram's 15 through 28. And it just keeps going up. But basically how you're going to read these diagrams is you'll see, so see right here, we have a 2 at the bottom. I wish this would just stay as a pointer. But we have this 2 right here. So that correlates to this 2 down here up at the top where we have a 9. And then 9 correlates to right down here and the 2. You could see it here with the 6. So we have row 6 here, right? We have a 12 right here. So now if you go to 12 down here, all the way to the top, we have a 6, which correlates to this. So this 6 is where this connects, because you got the 12 here, which is row 12. This is row 6 here. So it is slightly confusing. So like pretty much for some of these, like I'll pick a close one. If you wanted to do, let's look at this yellow and black looking wire here. We have 40. Right, so if we wanted to trace this, we'd have to scroll down to where we have 40, which is right here. You can see we have that same wire, and on this wire, it's a 7, which correlates back to 7 right here. So it is confusing, and if you're tracing stuff and it goes through multiple pages, it kind of is a lot. So I found the easiest way to navigate these diagrams for me. So say I'm looking for this module here, J623, which is the engine control module, and that's what I'm looking for, right? That's also how you would find what these are. You have a legend over here, so this is the module, J623, engine control module over here, and then same for like all these other components. You know, you'll see 386 right here, and this is going to be a ground connection in the main wiring harness. So, but one way I like to navigate this is, so say I want to look for more diagrams with the engine control module. I'll just do like a control F. It's going to pop up this search bar here, and I'm just going to type in J623, and you're going to have to wait because this is going to like populate for a while. You're going to see all these like markings come up on the side, and these are like the locations found for where it's seeing this number that you're searching. So it looks like we found everything we're looking for. Now, one thing, if I'm looking for component locations, I'll usually go to the last page first, because the bottom of these diagrams is going to be like component locations and pinouts. So we'll go right to the bottom, and you'll see now we have like a bunch of pinouts of different connectors. But you'll see right here we have this, and you could click these and it'll take you right to the page. So say we wanted to look for this, we'd click it, and boom, it'd take us right to it. You know, and now we could go back. So this is a nice feature because it'll give you just all the different points on this massive PDF of where a single component that you're looking for is going to be. So you'll see, let's just go through a bunch of these. So we have component locations here, and you can see how far down we are now. This is section 804, and it's showing you, all right, so this would be location 16 off of this diagram here. So right here is where we have, because we have the 16 here. So this is where we'd have the engine control module on this. You know, so say you were starting from the beginning and you're like just looking for a component location. That's what I would do. Once you get like the number of the module, J623 for this engine control module, you could use the control F feature, type it in, and then it kind of helps you narrow it down a little bit easier than like scrolling through all these pages. I always like to as well too. We're in section 804, page 8. So I would like to also just go up to the beginning of this and just make sure like it's for the right variance and everything, you know, so it'll tell you everything you're looking at, just to make sure it's going to be like the right car that you're looking at, because sometimes they will put like multiples in here. And now we could close this out and we just have the whole diagram. So you can search for other stuff too. Like say you wanted to look for like an injector. You could just search injector. Let's see what populates on this search. So you'll see first thing it brought me to, is this correct? Yes. So you could see we have here, again, you're going to want to make sure you're in the right section. This is going to be section 1. So sometimes it will have multiple, like if the vehicle has different engines, they'll have different sections for different engines. So you're going to want to make sure that you're on like the right section for the engine that you're working on. But say you're looking for injector wiring diagram, you'd have this here. And then you'll see we have our tracks at the bottom. On this one, everything's just within this diagram. It's not showing you that they go anywhere like this diagram does here. You know, like see this one, you still have all these numbers. So that's the location that these all go to. You know, 100 here, it's going to be way up here. 118, 118, 100. So again, it is a little confusing. That's just how they do them. After you use these diagrams, you know, a few times, it becomes a little bit easier to navigate them. You know, everything on here is just like abbreviated with like a letter and a number, and you're going to have to reference this little legend on the side. Again, if you work with these a lot, you'll kind of start to remember different numbers and what they should be. But that's pretty much going to be that. Again, if you're looking for like pinouts of the components, you're going to want to go pretty much to the bottom of the diagram. You can see we're pretty far down here on the side, about like 3/4 of the way. And the bottom of these diagrams is pretty much going to be all the connector pinouts, component locations, and you're going to see a bunch of that stuff as you go further down. So there's a lot of information in these documents. It's also kind of nice too, because say you're going to work on a car or something, you could pre-download these diagrams, and then you don't need internet service or anything, and you'll be able to figure out what you need. So it's nice that it's all in one spot. Internet isn't really going to affect it. And then you could just, you know, there's a lot of things you could click through to find stuff. But you could see here, if we're looking at a component location, cylinder 5 fuel injector, N83, location 21. If we come over here to location 21, you'll see it's green right there. And then 22, we will have the coil, ignition coil number 5, N323. So they do a good job on these of giving you locations of stuff. You know, everything's kind of highlighted in a color to make it a little bit easier to visualize. So they are very nice diagrams. I do utilize diagrams like this quite a bit, but these definitely are a little bit more time consuming as compared to like an Identifix, an all data redrawn diagram, where it's a lot simpler, kind of all on the same page, but those as well could kind of get crowded with a lot of wires crossing each other. So, but this was just really a quick little overview. I think the biggest thing to take away on these when you're looking at these for the first time is the track style. You know, a lot of people will look at these, or at least me when I first started learning how to use these diagrams, you know, and I wasn't aware that's what the tracks were for. You know, it's a little confusing as to where these go. You know, this 27 really doesn't mean anything, but you know, you'll see this is in number 2, 27, right? So we'll go to 27 and you'll see the number 2. You know, same thing for this one for 50, it's in location 16. So if we go to 50, we'll get location 16 here with the same color wire. So pretty much what you're looking at on these diagrams, you know, they're very interesting. This is pretty much how Volkswagen and Audi have all of their diagrams laid out. Anything you do is going to be something like this. And these are usually like entire diagrams, not for sections. So this will have like everything you need in here, like transmission control module, all of that stuff. It'll be pretty much all of the wiring diagrams for the car. We have power steering control module here. Each one is going to be a section, you know, so the next section will be in is 6 after 5. And that one's going to be, let's see what 6 is. This one's got a lot of diagrams. Comfort system. So section 6 will be the comfort system, and then you'll have pretty much every diagram there for that. So it's not like you'll be spanning over like thousands of pages. You'll pretty much just be whatever's in the system. So airbag systems would be section number 7 here. And the same thing, you'd be going through these. Everything's got a legend on the side. Airbag control module for this one would be J234. Got it right up here. Nothing on this page really utilizes the track style, it looks like. Everything's kind of within this one diagram right here. Aside from this, these you could see are going to utilize, and these are quite far away. We're only at 15 through 28 down here, and this is 206. So if this is something you were looking for, you'd have to go all the way down here to 206, which would be right here. And it comes from 17. I'll just go back to that and show you the 17, 206. So I hope this was helpful. I know a couple people commented they kind of wanted a little overview on some of these European diagrams. There's not like a crazy amount to go into detail on these. They're pretty self-explanatory with the legends. Everything's here. I think the real talking point is really just the track style diagrams with these numbers on the bottom. And once you understand that, these are pretty easy diagrams to go through. Everything's pretty simple. And the more you do these, the easier these become. So these are definitely nice because you have the component location at the bottom and then you have all the pinouts and everything. So it's pretty useful diagrams to have. So let me know what you guys think about this one, if you like this, and if you want to see some other ones. I do have a couple others that I could go into detail on as well too, or if there's any other type of diagrams you want me to go over. Yeah, I'm definitely no expert in wiring diagrams, but have a good understanding of a fair amount of them. So with that, I will catch you guys on the next one.